मैंने 2020 में लिया था पहली स्टार्टिंग याद तो जब ये इशू बहुत प्रॉब्लम नहीं था बहुत दिक्कत थी तो मैंने काफी मैंने ऐसा था कि हाँ देखो पीओईटी को दिया ये चीजों को रिलेट किया जब वो लॉजिक है कुछ चीजें समझ नहीं तो आप क्या सैंक्शन नहीं सब यानी उसी की अरे आओ अलग का बाकी okay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back for the fourth day, first session of Atal FDP program on the theme of integration of artificial intelligence for cyber security. So today we have a resource person, Dr. Atik sir, and his topic is NEP 2020 for technical education. So it is an honor to introduce our resource person, Professor Mohammad Atik Mohammad Junaid sir is currently the professor and head of the Department of Computer Science at SGBU Amravati University with an impressive academic foundation including a PhD in Computer Science and Engineering. Professor Atik sir brings over 32 years of teaching experience and complemented by extensive research contribution in the field of artificial intelligence, soft computing and medical image processing. He has guided 15 PhD scholars, authored 68 publications, and is a proud recipient and 3 granted patents. In addition, his work extends internationally with books published in Germany and New Delhi, and participation in global conferences including Greece. Professor Atik sir is also certified MBA NAC assessor and trainer, reflecting his dedication to academic excellence. We are privileged to have Professor Atik sir share his insights and expertise with us today. So may I request Dr. Ame Pul sir, please do the felicitation, Dr. Atik Mohammad Atik sir. Floral welcome, Mohammad Atik sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. So can we start?
Yes,
Thank you.
अलग बन त्याला सांगून त्याचे बटन कोणती आहे कसं आहे की प्रत्येकाला माहिती असते
Thank you very much. I should say a very exhaustive experience and introduction you have given about me. I am an ordinary teacher. From day one itself, I am into teaching, and that is enough, I should say. Anyway, first of all, I would like to put on record my thanks to the coordinator, Dr. M. Kun sir, for giving an opportunity to interact with such an august gathering. The topic which has been assigned to me is of prime importance, I should say. Because as a matter of fact, our education sector is experiencing, I should say, turbulence, right, or a change right? And change is mandated by the government. And we are all Indians, right? So the government has taken up this particular thing way back in 2020, I should say. They have come up with a beautiful document, and that document actually I have shared with the coordinator and the organizers. Okay, they will share those two documents with you. That will be the, I should say, the study material for this particular session. As far as NEP goes, there are certain myths about NEP and so on. Different people have different, I should say, myth about NEP. We will try to go ahead with little bit fundamentals, and gradually we will see that is how it impacts our technical education in particular. Right. So as you can see here that the topic which is there on the agenda is NEP 2020 for technical education. So here we will be focusing mainly on that is one important aspect, what they call it as the holistic and multidisciplinary education. And your institute in particular, okay, you are experiencing autonomy, and there are a lot of expectation from the government when it comes to implementation of NEP. That is, you must have a curriculum wherein you must have provisions for this multidisciplinary and holistic kind of thing. Right? So that is what we will have a detailed look at. Next slide, please. These are the learning objectives which I have identified here. That is, we will start with NEP 2020 thematic areas. So there are 8 thematic areas. It is not possible to cover all the areas in just 2 hours or 2.5 hours. Right? We will have a look at NEP 2020 from holistic and multidisciplinary perspective. Right? That will be our focal point. And gradually we will move ahead with, you could see there are, I should say, most of the participants are young teachers. Okay, so I have invested certain slides on what are the, I should say, the psychologies of learning and instruction. That is, wherein we will talk about what is pedagogy, andragogy, and so on. Okay, a few minutes, and then we'll move ahead with the teaching learning process. Okay, then list of factors influencing learning. What are the modes of learning? And the bottom line is we will have a glimpse of what we call it as the assessment, particularly technology-enabled assessment. So I will offer you tea in between. Technology-enabled assessment is nothing but the tea, right? And then we will have a look at Simon model. What are the various tools which one can use for, you can say, carrying out assessment, wherein certain open source tools, certain online tools, we will have a look at if time permits. And at the end, we will have, as I listed out over there, some discussion on hot potatoes, maybe some live demonstration, then Socrative class keep net logo and so on. Right. So this is what is there on the agenda. Before I start, I would like to interact with you. What is your perception about NEP? What do you feel? What are the major changes? Next slide, please. Anybody? NEP basically stands for it is the National Education Policy, and since it has come up in 2020, that's why NEP 2020, right? But what do you feel? What major changes government has proposed in this policy? That policy document definitely I will share with you. Okay. Great. So the very first point, as I don't know who was speaking. Yes. So as he said, that is multi-point entry and multi-point exit. Okay. So multi-point entry is all right, but multi-point entry is nothing new for us. We have lateral entries and so on. But when it comes to multi-point exit, that is we are doing for the very first time, right? Particularly higher education. Okay, it was there in polytechnic up to some extent. That is, there were options wherein you can leave the diploma after 2 years or 2.5 years. So fast learner, we are having those functionalities over there. Right? But when it comes to higher education, we are doing it for the first time. So multi-exit, and that is the biggest challenge in my opinion, because your class strength will be dynamic. Okay, right now we have a very rigid kind of system wherein we have an intake capacity of 60, but it may happen maybe third year class it will have only 30 students or 20 students, maybe 0 students in future. So those challenges are there because the student has the liberty to leave the system at any point of time. Let's say if I get the job after completing my second year of BTech, okay, why I should continue? If I'm getting, ultimately what we are doing, we are getting the degrees for getting the jobs. Let's say if I get the job after second year itself, okay, wherein the institution will award me a diploma in cyber security or maybe any emerging area, and that is enough for getting me, say, maybe 15 lakh or 20 lakh job per annum, I'll leave the system. Okay. So how to deal with this kind of scenario, and that is becoming one of the most challenging aspects of NEP 2020. So you will have a dynamic kind of environment, and again there is a issue what they call it as mobility of student from one particular institution to the another institutions. That is again the bottleneck. But these things are there. Leave apart. These are the challenges. That's why I said these are the challenges. I will not say that these are the problems. Okay, because every problem has a solution, right? So these are the challenges, and your generation is definitely is bound to face these kind of things because we will not be there in the system 5 years down the line, right? My retirement is 2029, so you will have to face all these challenges. Holistic and multidisciplinary education, IKS is the another important component which was not there earlier. Okay, but Indian knowledge system, if you look at our contribution in education, particularly in higher education, you will find that there are certain astonishing facts. Okay, and that's why the government has taken up this particular thing very seriously. Then how? What about the academic leadership and governance? That is the another area. Higher education and society, research and development, skill development, student diversity and inclusive education, and information and communication technology. So we'll not touch upon all these 8 because they require, they themselves are area in themselves, right? Again, you have sub-thematic areas. So, but we will touch upon what is holistic and multidisciplinary education, what are skill development because we are into technical education, and what is how we can use ICT as a tool for making this particular thing happen. Right? Next slide, please. So let us try to define holistic education. So holistic education, if you look at, you must be aware about that there are 3 cognitive domains of learning. Okay, I'll take you to Bloom's taxonomy as well. Okay, during our discussion. So cognitive domains related to mental process, that is the thinking process. Right? This is what we do in our day-to-day life. Okay, but there are other domains, equally important domains are psychomotor domain. That is again there when it comes to, you can say, technical education. Okay, and then physical education is there. So these 3 domains are equally important. But many times while implementing autonomy, we give undue importance to the very first one, that is the cognitive domain. Right. So how to deal with these 3 in a holistic manner, okay, which can bring the changes in the students, which is nothing but the product. Both will be. Hello. Yes. Thank you. So the physical exercises, that is including yoga, that is again becoming a part of your NEP 2020. Earlier, these courses were not there. If you look at the conventional systems, you will not find that there is any scope for a yoga course. But now it is happening. Okay, and then secular and spiritual education, that is related to understanding of self. Okay, wherein we have very many things like, say, universal human values, okay, ethics, morals, and so on. Right. Again, all these areas are very common. They may be related with all the aspects, whatever I have talked about in the earlier slide. Next slide. So when holistic education is implemented, particularly in schools, what has happened? The individuals are truly educated. That is what they feel. Right. The policymakers, this is their perception, and it is very much correct. Okay, and that's why it is necessary to have a multidisciplinary curriculum. Okay, if you look at your curriculum nowadays, you are having major, minor, and whatnot, right? So that is what, that is nothing but the multidisciplinary, and it should be flexible enough. Okay, so that flexibility we will be talking about. Okay, and there are certain pedagogical practices. So when it comes to pedagogy, okay, all of us we feel that we use some or the other pedagogies in our classrooms. But when it comes to reality, you will be surprised. Next slide, please. there are certain major disciplines, and the student cross the boundaries of the discipline. Many times now it is happening in your autonomy, wherein the students of you can say civil or mechanical engineering, they are taking courses of computer science, AI, and so on, right? So for identifying their identity, it will be there. They will be definitely called as resource person, or maybe you can say the students trained in a particular domain, but with some added you can say these skills. So those skills can be very well added. So this NEP provides framework for having all those kinds of functionalities. Next slide. Now, if you look at, you can say the multidisciplinary what I was talking about, this is where we stand. Okay, if you look at the, you can say the education system as on date, you will find that we have very hard boundaries. I very well remember, let's say if you wish to apply for a assistant professor in computer science, okay, even the electronics people are not eligible. I'm talking about the recent recruitment rule. Okay, whether it is correct or not, that is again debatable, right? We will not have debate on that because it will lead to some different areas. But we are having a, you can say, disciplinary approach or unidisciplinary approach, what should I say more specifically. But how we can transform our education system from disciplinary to multidisciplinary, which is happening. Those institutions which are autonomous, you are doing all this multidisciplinary. And there are areas wherein interdisciplinary is the buzzword nowadays. Let's say if you want to apply for a research project and you want to fetch some funding, you have to have an interdisciplinary capability. Okay, merely electronics is not enough, merely having computer science is not enough, right? You have to have some interdisciplinary. So interdisciplinary is gaining importance day by day. And there are certain transdisciplinary areas. So this is, I should say, the developed nations, they have this kind of environment, right? Wherein they have very many possibilities. Okay, that is, for example, after 12th, we restrict our student to go for either medical or engineering and so on. But there they have completely flexible structures, right? So the student have the freedom to take admission and acquire or say attend certain credits and get the degrees and so on. Next slide, please. So I was talking about that is we will invest some quality time on understanding what is pedagogy and certain fundamental aspects. The idea behind putting this particular thing on the slides rather for discussion here is all of us, including myself, we have never undergone any kind of, I should say, B.Ed or D.Ed sort of course, wherein we have been taught that is how to teach. And unfortunately, we are teaching daily. Okay, we are engaging 16 hours a day, 16 hours a week teaching load, but we have never ever been taught that is how to teach, right? So that's why I've kept few slides here, and we use these terminologies very interchangeably, very casually. Okay, that's why we will have some 4-5 minutes discussion on this pedagogy, andragogy, teaching, training, and learning. Now I will toss a question with regard to pedagogy. What do you understand by pedagogy? Anyone of you? Great, practice of teaching, great. Right, it is nothing but the practice of teaching, and that is what you do in your day-to-day classroom environment. So whether you adopt pedagogy while going for teaching in a class, and one single pedagogy is fit for all types of teaching, right? Right. So pedagogy is basically intended for rather. If you dig this particular thing to a greater detail, you will find that actually it is expected when it comes to technical education, particularly, we must adopt what they call it as the andragogy, not pedagogy. Because next slide, please. Right. So as somebody has said, that is it is the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. Okay, that is what we feel as an academician. So it is a theory of education in short, right? But it is more specifically confined to, I should say, children's. Okay, students up to 12th standard, 10+2 system. Okay, there we must adopt this pedagogy. But when it comes to higher education, that is the environment in which you are working with. Next slide. We must have. This is normally the stages we adopt for taking the pedagogy. We prepare. Okay, then we go for the presentation right now, what is happening, and then we just try to associate certain things. Okay, association by giving certain analogies with the help of say day-to-day examples. Okay, but if you look at the last two, particularly generalization application, here most of us we struggle. Most of us, I should say, even myself, okay, putting 33 odd years into teaching, still we struggle because our orientation is, that is, again, we are more focused on that is how to score maximum marks, how to train students to score maximum marks. That is the focal point, right? So we never train them, that is how they can apply that concept in their day-to-day or real-life scenarios. Generalization and how it is to be applied in the day-to-day scenarios. So these two, that is the last two steps, are again very crucial when it comes to pedagogy. Next, andragogy. This is what I was talking about. That is, andragogy is the method and practice of teaching adult learners. Now, if you look at the intake you get in your classroom, they are all adult learners. They are all adult learners. They should not be treated as small kids, right? So the role of teacher, basically, it has changed from a teacher to a facilitator, I should say, right? Okay, if you look at the student as on date, that is on in 2024, and let's say if I try to compare this when I entered into teaching way back in 1990, okay, you will find there is a drastic difference. In 1990, I used to make a statement like, you please pay attention to my class, because the topic I am teaching is, you will hardly find in any book. Okay, it is the best book, because those days, all computer science books were out of print, most of the books. Okay, and we used to get Xerox copies of all the books and so on. So let's say if I got that copy, okay, wherein that topic is very nicely explained, and if I am delivering in the class, I can very well make those kind of statements. But let's say if today I make those statements that I am referring to Perkins Hansen, operating system concept and design, okay, some students stand up, sir, this is the PDF for this. Okay, you can very well refer to this. So it is what I mean to say. Now the students are equipped, so your job is rather more challenging. And the another important aspect while dealing with student, many times we ignore is, most of us we feel that teaching is one of the most easiest job, whereas as a teacher I feel that it is one of the most challenging job. Why I'm saying so? Because right now there are, let's say, 50 odd participants sitting here. These are 50 different challenges for me as a teacher. I'm not teaching right now. Let me correct it. I'm sharing certain things, whatever I know, right? So teaching job is the most challenging job, because every day when you enter a class, you face n number of challenges. And unfortunately, what we do is we treat same treatment to all of them, irrespective of their IQs and other attributes, right? So that is the very unfortunate part. So what is andragogy? Is the method and practice of teaching adult learners, and this is nothing new. This was very first time taught by Alexander Capp, okay, in 1833, okay, and then few US education is there to it further, okay, and they talk about what they call it as the theoretical and practical approach. So in when it comes to technical education, we not only teach the theoretical aspects, but we teach them certain practical aspects as well. So that practice is very important. Unfortunately, in our education system, we never encourage students to fail in a practical examination. That is the very unfortunate part. If you compare our system with Pune University, you will find that there is always 10% failure in examination. Practical examination I am talking about. Why it is so? Because they do not involve teachers for conducting the practical examination. They involve people from industry, okay, and they take it to the task. Okay, if the student do not perform, because that fellow is not having any kind of association. Let's say I am associated with a number of ways with your institution or any other institution for that purpose, but those things are there. Next. Now, this teaching again, we are very casual about when it comes to teaching. Okay, so teaching is defined as an interactive process. There has to be a dialogue. Okay, but many times we have a monologue in the classroom environment. So that should not happen. Okay, who is a teacher? Again, these are some of the expectation from a teacher. Ideally, teacher must have all these characteristics present in him or her, I should say. So, creative proficiency of an artist, the precise attitude of scientists, and the perfected skills of the craftsman. So, the third one is again very important, and we must take these things very seriously. Okay, so teaching is not that easy. What I intend to say is teaching is one of the most challenging job. If you take it seriously, it is one of the most difficult job, right? Because every day you have n number of challenges. Next slide, please. What is training? Again, we mix up these things. Okay. So training is an organized activity aimed at imparting information and or instruction to improve the recipient's performance or to help him or her attain required level of knowledge or skill. So here now we are moving ahead from this knowledge to skill, right? Let's say you want to take a, you want to learn that is how to drive a car. Okay, normally we approach the training institutes. So what are the peculiar characteristics of a training institute and an educational institute? If you compare them, it is basically of a shorter duration. It is expected to give immediate result. And the term training involved during the World War II. What has happened? If you look at the historical perspective of this particular time, okay, you will find that there was dearth of soldiers, right? So the normal ordinary citizens, they were involved, they were trained to operate certain warship equipments, okay, and they were put on board for executing the war and so on. So this is how. So, but we set teaching and training as same, but they are completely different. Next slide. Next slide. Next. Yeah. This is the overall scenario of a basic teaching model. Okay, we will be focusing on this performance assessment. But if you look at, normally we adopt this, that is we go ahead with what are the instructional objectives, okay, then entering behavior, instructional procedures, and then the performance assessment. Right now, if you look at this class, I have narrated certain instructional objectives, then you have entered with some predefined concept about NEP 2020, okay, you will be undergoing maybe 2 hours training session, and instructional procedures will be executed on you, and then at the end, what will happen? Your coordinator will conduct the performance assessment, right? So you will conduct some evaluation. You will be focusing on that. This evaluation, that is how it is to be done. Okay, so this is a typical model, teaching model, what they call it as. But if you look at the bottom line, you will find that there is no single method, teaching method, I should say, which is perfect for all the kind of scenarios. So 1,000 teachers, 1,000 methods. This is a Chinese proverb, and which is perfect, right? So I may be having my own way of dealing with the things. Your perception and your way of dealing with the same concept will remain different. So that is bound to happen, and it is subjective. Right? Next. So instructional objectives will not go into the details, but it is mandatory that when it comes to teaching, learning, and so on, you must have certain objective listed out. Okay, then you must see the entering behavior. Next. All these things I am doing right now in the classroom itself, right? It is not a teaching right now taking place, but we do it many times. We never realize that we are doing it. Okay, but we adopt it, all these things. That is the instructional procedures and the performance assessment. Next. Right? What are the factors which affect learning? Having said that, there are numerous factors which affect learning. The very first one is the sensation and perception. Maybe fatigue. That's why you have break in sessions, right? Fatigue and boredom, right? Age and maturation, okay? Emotional conditions. But we ignore these things while treating student in the classroom scenario. Most of the factors we ignore. We feel that as if it is our job. We never realize that is what is happening to the student at the other end. What are the needs, interests? What is the motivation, intelligence, aptitude, attitude, and so on. So NEP talks about dealing with all these things in a holistic manner, right? Aptitude, attitudes, and so on. Then we have environmental factors. Okay, what is there in NITs and IITs? The environment, right? Ultimately, the environment, right? They have same kind of infrastructure. Maybe some of the NITs even they do not have the kind of infrastructure your institution is having, but the environment matters, right? So that environment makes your value systems, right? Your social cultural relationship with others and media. There are 4 modes of learning. Again, we ignore these things, but this is equally important. That is learning by observation. Learning never takes place by let's say I'm delivering the class and I expect that the learning is taking place. Never happens. So there are ways and means learning by observation, and that's why it is said that the teachers are a role model. That is how you talk, how you behave. Okay, that have a greater impact on the students' mind, right? So learning by observation, learning by imitation. Many times they imitate. Okay, and learning by trial and error. This is what the small kids normally do. Okay, and learning by insight. Okay, learning by insight is the highest level, and this is what we need to achieve, okay, in our education system. That is how we can make them lifelong learner, how we can transform them from a casual learner to a lifelong learner. Next. Again, when it comes to transfer of learning, we feel that there is always positive side of transfer which is taking place. But it is not necessary all the time we will have a positive. Most of the time we have positive transfer, but you may have negative or you may have a zero transfer. You have entered in the class with some predefined perception about NEP 2020. So it may happen you will remain as it is even if after this session is over, right? So that is again there. That is nothing but the zero. But negative is highly dangerous. So what is this negative? That is, if it interferes with the learning of a subsequent task, it is called negative transfer. That is highly dangerous. So we must avoid at least negative transfer. Even if it is zero, it doesn't matter. But and ideally we must go for the positive transfer, wherein some learning takes place. Next. Right. These are the various laws of learning. I will not go into the detail, but law of practice, law of effect. Those who are new, they can dig these things in a greater detail later on. Okay, law of readiness. Let's say you are not ready to listen me, and I am bombarding with this stuff, right? So again, it will be a wastage of time, sheer wastage of time. Next slide, right? So what is learning basically? When you teach, we expect that the learning is taking place, but normally it is not the case all the time. So what is learning? One has to understand. It is a permanent change in behavior, right? By reinforced practice. So technical education, these aspects are very important when it comes to learning, right? So your behavior when you entered, or rather you are undergoing a particular course when day zero, and that's why most of the time you have a day zero test, 0 at day test, right? If you have new entrant in the institution, normally we go for a 0 day test, and maybe at the end of the you have exit examinations. What for this exit examination? Now, almost all the you can say the professional courses, particularly medical, okay, they are having exit examination mandatorily. Why? Because the idea is what kind of change has taken place. Okay, that is the mantra over there. Next. Right. Now let us go to our fundamental aspects what we were about to deal with. That is, there are three domains which I have talked about. That is the cognitive, okay, affective, and the psychomotor. Right. So when it comes to cognitive, we have knowledge and intellectual skills. Again, we give undue importance to. Any problem?
Yeah.
Sir.
Continue.
Okay, thank you. But I thought there is some problem. That's why I stopped. Anyway, so cognitive again, we have knowledge and intellectual skills, but we give undue focus to knowledge. Okay. If you look at your question paper, you will find that you have thousands of questions, rather 80% of the question which deals with define, right, explain, and so on, right? So we never ever try to convert that knowledge into maybe skills, right? So that is what is there when it comes to, you can say, the Bloom's taxonomy and so on. Then the another domain, important domain, is the affective domains, wherein the feeling and emotions and attitudes are important. Again, we ignore this, but this is equally important. During placement, you must have observed a particular student may be very technically sound, but the corporate world they reject it. And if you ask them, they will say, "Sir, everything is fine. He is technically very good, but he is not good for a teamwork." Right. So where that fellow is failing, he may be individually, maybe, but individual cannot do anything, right? Okay. When it comes to interaction with the customer, okay, he fails. So undoubtedly, knowledge is important, but at the same time, emotion, attitude, and those things are equally important, right? Then psychomotor, wherein you have motor skills. Okay, so all these three domains are equally important, and we must give importance, equal importance to all of them. Maybe 33% to all of them. Right. Next slide. Now, if you look at this is cognitive domain. That is normally, as I was talking about, that is we talk about understanding, problem solving, deriving formula, applications, and so on. And then affective domains, you have values, attitudes, interests, and discipline. And the psychomotor, wherein what you call it as practical skills, maybe driving, assembling, painting, and so on. So, if you look at your question paper, you will find that we normally 80% of the time we deal with these things. Okay, hardly maybe 10% on this and 10% on this, right? So, how we can move from the lowest level to the highest level? That is what is the most important aspects. Next slide. So, based on this, morning, sir. Cognitive domain, then psychomotor domain, and affective domain. These three domains are there. Okay, and we must give, as I said, equal importance to all of them. Next. This is typically, this is the man, I should say, the responsible for coming up with this, I should say, a standard in the education system is nothing but the Benjamin Bloom, and popularly it is known as the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So Bloom's taxonomy is basically a holistic approach. Okay, I am not talking anything irrelevant. It is very much related with your NEP 2020, right? So it is one of the you can say holistic approach. That is how you can incorporate Bloom's taxonomy into your curricula, and Bloom's taxonomy basically talks about from scratch to finish. That is dealing with your objectives, rather designing your learning objectives, then up to setting up of papers, evaluation, and so on. Right. So it talks about everything, and that's why I said okay, it is an holistic approach for which is our topic as on date. So it is a tool for instructors to assist with writing learning outcomes, as I said. Okay, curriculum planning. Okay, content delivery as well as assessment. So it touches upon almost all the aspects of our education systems, right? And that's why I said it is a holistic approach for multidisciplinary and technical education. So it is also called as the taxonomy of learning objective. That is the another name given to this, and this I have already touched upon. That is 95% of the test questions we talk about the recall. We simply test the knowledge of the students, right? We never talk about the higher levels wherein you have knowledge is undoubtedly needed. But we struggle dealing with the lower level itself, right? Most of the time. What is the solution that we will see? Next slide, please. This is what the 6 different aspects of Bloom's taxonomy is all about. Knowledge at the bottom level. You have comprehension, then application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Right? So most of the time we focus on knowledge. Our education system in general, I am talking. Next. Right? So what has happened? Bloom has come up with some action verbs, okay, which you can incorporate in your question paper, and you can very well design question papers which are in line with Bloom's taxonomy, right? So remember, as I said, is the lowest level, and all other levels are on the higher side. Next slide, please. If you look at this, this is the skill I am talking about. That is the knowledge, comprehension. So definition is recall. And most of the time we use these kind of keywords, that is identify, describe, name, label, recognize, reproduce, follow. Okay, this is what is there in our question paper most of the time, right? We never ever go even to summarize, convert, okay, defend, paraphrase, okay, interpret, give examples. Okay, give examples is again there, and we feel that we write explain Bloom's taxonomy with the help of some suitable examples. Okay, but that will not serve the purpose, right? But we must move ahead from this knowledge to the bottommost is the appraise, critique, judge, justify. So wherein you can convert that student, rather we can force them to become a lifelong learner, creative thinkers, right? And how that transformation can take place by having these kind of stuffs in your question papers, right? Using these keywords in your question paper can make things little bit different, okay, and more challenging for the students, right? Now you may have this, we have let's say 70% on the bottom and maybe 1 or 2% on the top. Okay, again you go on the other way around. That is, most of the student will fail, right? So as a matter of fact, the solution to this kind of thing is, if you look at the examination pattern of IITs and NITs, you will find that there is no rigid level of passing an examination. They have flexible levels. Okay, and the teacher themselves will decide. You are autonomous institute, that's why I'm intentionally touching upon this particular aspect. That is, you can have a variable depending upon the flexibility, depending upon the difficulty level, I should say. A professor should be allowed to set his or her own passing level for a particular subject. Okay, maybe it may be 10 numbers out of 100. It may be 20, or it may be, if let's say the paper is very easy, maybe 70. Right? So that should be in your hand. Then and then you can achieve all these things. Okay, in reality. Next slide. Right? So Bloom's level you can use for outcomes. You can use it for curriculum mapping. You can use it for assess and measurement. So Bloom's basically touches all the aspects of a teaching learning process. Next slide. These are again few more keywords wherein you have analyze, evaluate, create, and so on. Right? So whatever is there in red, okay, you can use them very easily in your question papers, and you can make things happen. Next slide. Now, if you look at the structure of a course content, okay, most of the time we begin at the lower level of Bloom's, and that should be the starting point while dealing with any stuff, any subject rather, or any course you are dealing with. But gradually you should try to increase the difficulty level, right? So that way you can do it. Next. But what has happened during a course of time, and again one important aspect I need to share with you, this Bloom's taxonomy is a product of a committee which was constituted by US University, and they have come up with this beautiful, I should say, aspects of rather the entire teaching learning process. Okay, we do have, or in our universities we do have committees and all, right? So this is how they function, and that's why they are called developed nations, right? That is another important aspect we need to understand, right? We do have in our university committee number 13 by 2023, 14 by 2024, and so on. But this is how they work, and that's why they excel, right? So, revised Bloom's taxonomy, what has happened is one of the student of Dr. Benjamin Bloom, that is Lauren Anderson, he took up the task and he decided it is little bit, certain changes are needed. So only two major changes he did. The only thing he did is he categorized all the 6 categories from noun to verb, okay, action verb I should say, okay, which creates, the verb itself will tell you that is what is the purpose of this particular level, okay. And the another change which he has made is he has changed the position of create and evaluate, right? That is 5th and 6th level. That is the small change, and at present, as a matter of fact, this revised Bloom's taxonomy is being adopted by almost all the institutions. Right? So this is what we are practicing. Next slide. Right. So this is what is there. Okay. Now, if you look at the verbs itself, okay, earlier it was knowledge. Now it is remember. Okay. So remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. These two things are interchanged. That is create and evaluate. These two things are interchanged. Next slide. So these are the knowledge dimension. I will not go into the details. Next slide. Right. So one more taxonomy, which is typically for affective domain. I think I have talked about cognitive domain. Okay, wherein we have discussed at length Bloom's taxonomy, but this is the Kruthol's taxonomy of affective domain. Okay. As I said, all these 3 taxonomies are equally important. Right. So we must deal with this particular thing again with a greater importance. So affective domain, next slide. Again, you have a pyramid kind of structure wherein you have receiving, responding, valuing, organization, and characterization. So these are the 5 different levels of this affective domain. Right? Earlier we talked about 6 different levels of cognitive domain. Right? This is called taxonomy. Next slide. So receiving, this is from the student's perspective basically. Okay, receiving refers to the student's willingness to attend to a particular phenomena of stimuli. Right. So how receptive you are is again, and being a teacher, that's why I said it is the most challenging job. How you can prepare students for receiving? What do you do in the class? Anybody? What are usually what are the practices normally we adopt in the class? The most common one is Interact. Yes, sir. Interactive, right? Interactive, but how you will start the interaction? These students are, they do not want to listen what you intend to say. How you will motivate them? How you will make them ready to receive what you intend to say? Okay, so motivation, all these things. The simple thing is you may brainstorm, you may pose a question, you may crack a joke, as Sarah said, okay, or see, so as to get their attention. Okay, so brainstorming, or there are various ways and means to achieve that. So receiving, then responding, and so on. All these are the, you can say, the Prothol's affective domain criteria. Next slide. Now we'll move to the original topic from where we have started. That is how we can use Bloom's taxonomy to assess. Okay, this is very much important from your, I should say, the autonomy point of view, right? So how we can have MCQs? MCQs normally we set for taking the Bloom's level 1. Okay, summarize an article, normally Bloom's level 2. Analyzing the case study. This is what is happening. I think the session, just after this session, you have a session wherein you will be given a paper and everybody will be asked to article discussion, right? So that article is already shared with you. Okay, then you have to go through that article and you have to come up, analyze. Okay, analyzing, and then it may happen that the coordinator may ask you to write a paper at the end of the session, right? What you have achieved when it comes to this particular course. So creating something, right? Creating something using Bloom's. Next, right? These are some of the problems which I have highlighted here, right? But as a matter of fact, being an academician, all of us, we need to take up these things very seriously. Most of the time, we give undue focus to certification. Now that is again gradually disappearing, I should say. Okay, there are people, few of my students, they have written one paper, one beautiful paper on data science, and just based on that paper, he or she get the job. Okay, nobody asked whether you are BSc in computer science or you are MSc in computer science or whether you are PG diploma with a BCom graduate. Okay, so but we give undue focus on certification. We give our education system. We have very hard boundaries. Even if you look at the, you can say, government recruitment in particular. Okay, I'll share one joke with you. Way back in I think 93, 94, there was an advertisement for the post of lecturer in electronics and telecommunication engineering. And what has happened? NPSC has rejected few of the degrees from Amravati University because the degree nomenclature was BE in electronics and communication, not telecommunication. So that tele was missing over there. And based on that tele, he said that clerk said, no, this is not there. So telecommunication and communication is same, but he will never say. He will say you come up with some amendment to the recruitment rule because that rule is a statute. Okay, government statute is there. Okay, which cannot be. I am not there to maybe understand what is hidden there. Okay, so what do they do normally? They look at all those things very peculiarly. Okay, so this telecom, that's why I said very hard boundaries are there. But we need to come out of those boundaries. So undue focus on marks, I think this I have already discussed at length. That is, we should not have 40% passing for all the subjects. Okay, it may be different for different subjects. Lack of qualitative feedback. Now we are having 360-degree feedback. Yes, it is talking about that. But lack of assessment of higher level outcomes, again, that is missing if you look at the question papers. Lack of assessment of complex outcomes. Okay, negligible assessment in the psychomotor. Look at your assessment. Okay, you don't have anything which deals about this psychomotor and affective thing, right? So this is again missing over there. Then you have liberal marking. This is E2 as a teacher. And why do we do this kind of thing? Because we don't teach. Let's say in autonomy it is misused, I should say, to a great. I am not criticizing any system or any particular individual or any particular institution. But what happens, let's say, out of 6 units, I am teaching only 3 units. What I will do, I will send the paper on only those 3 units because I have taught only 3 in the classroom. So it may happen gradually that the 50% syllabus is not taught to the student. Okay, and particularly the fifth and sixth unit, wherein you have all those things which I was talking about, right? Normally, fifth and sixth unit talks about case studies, okay, application of the concepts and so on. So, and that's why, and then we claim that our student fails, they are not getting jobs. So how they will get jobs when they are not trained, right? So this liberal marking is again the biggest enemy. You are the biggest enemy if you go for a liberal kind of marking and so on. Next slide. Right. Again, this assessment and evaluation. Okay, we mix up these things. Okay, so assessment is basically an ongoing process aimed at understanding and improving the student learning. Okay, that's why we many times put continuous in front of it. And continuous assessment. Maybe after one unit you will have assessment, second, third unit again you will have assessment and so on. So it is a process. It is a continuous process, I should say, more specifically. Whereas evaluation is a judgment or determination of the quality of a performance, product, or use of process against a standard. When your student goes to the industry, there they are evaluated. Right? So evaluation basically takes place at the end. Okay, and that's why I said that many times we have exit examination and so on, right? So exit examination and so on. So evaluation is basically the dead end, I should say. Okay, whereas assessment is a continuous process. Next slide, please. Right. So which assessment method is to be used? Now you have again a number of assessment methods which is to be used. Again, we need to dig this little further. Okay, and this very well. Saying is there, that is cooking is easy, but washing the utensil is difficult. And normally we attribute these things to the husbands in our households. है ना? अपन क्या बोलते हैं? बर्तन कौन धो रहा है? सब धो रहे हैं बोलते हैं. So on a lighter note, actually it is the most difficult task. Cooking is comparatively easy. है ना? So on the parallel line, learning is easy or lecturing is easy in the classroom, but conducting assessment test is the most difficult part. Okay. How do we set our question paper? That is a $1 billion question. What do we do? Normally, I will not disclose that on this platform. But we refer to last 4 or 5 years paper and then gather the question and then prepare the new question sets. Right? So that is how serious it is to be taken up. So which assessment methodology is to be adopted? Next slide. Right. So we will go ahead with what we have decided in the beginning, that is, we will have what is called as the T, that is technology enabled assessment. Okay, we will see that is how we can use. I have promised you that I will offer you T in between. So the T is coming up for you. It is nothing but the technology enabled assessment, right? And there may be objective testing, there may be subjective testings. So all these tools are capable of having all those functionalities, maybe objectives, wherein you can go for multiple choice questions and so on, or subjective assessment and so on. Next slide. Okay, there are some diagnostic assessment as well. Okay, and summative assessment which are normally carried out at the end of the course. Okay, so next, and integrative assessment. So these are the categories. These stuff I will be sharing with you. Presentation is again there with the coordinator. Okay, you can have a look at all those things. Okay, later on. So, but you can say integrative assessment. It is on digital device, right? So this is again we do in our day-to-day classroom scenario. Next. Now I have talked about diagnostic assessment, formative assessment, summative assessment, feedback. Okay, project work or laboratory, collaborative learning, and so on. And on the right-hand side, I have listed out some of the tools. Some of them you are already using. For example, Google Form you are using. Okay, but I don't know how many of you have heard about hot potatoes. Any idea about hot potatoes? Okay, so we will have few hot potatoes in the slides to come. Okay, Plickers, then Classic, maybe Socrative, right? All these tools are there. They are very powerful tools. They are very small tools, free tools available. Okay, which you can download. You can start using them for conducting all these tests. Next slide. When it comes to tool, okay, the very basic question which arises in our mind is whether these tools are standard or not, right? So we will have a look at that is how to assess whether a particular tool is a standard tool or not. So there is a model called as the SAMR model, SAMR model. It was developed by Dr. Ruben, and it is a framework for examining how technology is adopted in a classroom. Right? So this SAMR stands for, basically, S stands for substitution. Okay. Let's say you are using Google Form. Okay. If Google Form is satisfying this criteria, you can very well conclude that it is an standard tool. Okay. So this substitution, student can fill out the forms online. It is very much there in case of Google Form. So you can claim that the substitution characteristics is very much there. What about augmentation? Teachers can create the students' responses on the spreadsheet automatically. It is again there. Okay. So augmentation is there. Next slide. What about modification? Teachers and students can collaboratively analyze. This feature is again there in Google Forms. Okay. Contrast and compare results immediately after individuals fill out the form. So it is very much there. And redefinition, that is, teachers can reach unlimited learners. So sky is the limit. You can share that Google Forms with n number of individuals. Okay. So again, it satisfied redefinition, meaning thereby Google Form satisfied the SAMR criteria, and it is a standard which you can very well adopt in your day-to-day assessment purposes. The other tools we will have a look at next. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, hot potatoes. At least anybody of you have ever used this particular tool? Anyway, so this tool is a very small tool. Okay, I'll demonstrate here itself in the class. Okay, JQuiz is for conducting the quiz. You can design small quizzes using JQuiz. JClose for having a fill in the blank kind of questions. JCross is for a crossword puzzle. JMatch is for match the following kind of thing. And JMix is for jumbled sentences, wherein you can ask the student to properly organize the sentences and so on. Right? And at the end, you have this is the sixth utility in that bundle, is the JMasher, which can be used for creating one unit. Let's say 5 different sections you have created using JQuiz, JClose, JCross, JMatch, and JMix. You want to put it in a single unit as an assessment unit. You can club all those things with the help of a JMasher. Right? So this is a small tool. Okay, very standard tool. Again, it satisfies SAMR criteria, and I don't know whether you have observed while I was talking about integrative, summative, and all those types of assessment techniques. This particular tool appears almost in all the cases. So it can be used for a summative assessment, it can be used for a integrative assessment, it can be used for a you can say the other type of assessment, and so on. Right. So we will have a look at this particular tool. Okay, in short. Next. This is typically the screenshot for a quiz. Okay, you can very well, within no time, you can create a quiz. Okay, by means of this particular utility. Next. JClose for filling the blanks. This is the screenshot. Next. Okay, and this is a crossword. So you can create a crossword using JCross. Next slide. And this is the ordering exercise. Okay, wherein you have maybe match the following kind of scenario. Next. Jumbled sentence. You can ask the student to arrange the sentences in the correct order. Next. Right. So to end my discussion, okay, what are the key takeaways as far as this session is concerned? The very first thing is, that is, when it comes to assessment, at which level you are performing, whether you are performing at the knowledge level, and how you can transform yourself from that knowledge level to the highest level, which is the creativity. Right. So that is the very first takeaway, and the adaptation of technologies, I should say, to complement teaching, learning, and assessment. Right. So some assessment tools are there. On the parallel line, you have certain tools which can be used for imparting training as well. Okay, training, learning purposes, and so on. So there are a bundle of tools, but how you can adopt, and particularly I think most of the participants are from electronics and computer science background. Okay, so it is our primary responsibility to take up these things little bit seriously, and we should be the leaders, I would say, right? The exemplary leaders for the rest of the branches. Okay, that is how you can make your life easier, because these tools are so powerful. That is, it is a one-time exercise. And if you create a question bank, okay, it may happen that over a period of time, 3 years down the line, you need not have to prepare. When it comes to assessment, you need not have to prepare anything. You can simply select the number of questions and you can very well go for assessment. Next, right? This is what our, I should say, the father of nation. By education, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in body. Okay, mind and spirit. So there is nothing new this NEP 2020 talks about. It is on this parallel line only. Next. And teachers should be the best minds in the country. Right? This is our, I think, Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, right? So I hope that with this note, that is almost all the best minds are sitting here, right? So I'll take your leave. But before that, I'll demonstrate. I don't know how much time is left. Uh, yes. So we have 30 minutes, 30 odd minutes with us. Okay, I'll demonstrate some of the tools as I promised. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I hope we are connected here.
Bye.
Actually, my लिखने दिख रहा है इधर तक? I don't know. The screen is visible? Otherwise, I need to take out my laptop. चलेगा सब कुछ नहीं तो इसको आपका DLP का HDMI HDMI केबल तो मुझे लगे इसको लगा HDMI नहीं है क्या
तो सही नहीं खाली होगा इसके
आगे ये दिख रहा है बड़ा वाला केबल नहीं है ये HDMI है सारी नहीं है शादी मेरे से नहीं लगेगा फायदा नहीं।
ये आपने
स्क्रीन नहीं आ रहा है।
प्रॉब्लम असा आहे सर डुप्लिकेट स्क्रीन मध्ये जो आपण स्क्रीन करतो स्लाइड शो तेव्हा चालत अदरवाइज नाही समजेल प्रॉब्लेम
फुल स्क्रीन मध्ये
आपल्याला आपण स्क्रीन एक्सेप्ट केली एक स्क्रीन बंद करावं लागेल
स्क्रीन बंद केलं
स्क्रीन टू
सेकंड स्क्रीन से दिखेगा लेकिन वो वहां से दिखेगा ऐसा दूसरा दिखा
चलेगा। माउस यहाँ दिया तो चल जाएगा, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। माउस का कॉर्डलेस है ना, तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। बस ठीक है, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड सुनिए।
देखा एक्सटेंशन
So this is what I was talking about. That is Hot Potato 7.0 is the latest one, right? So you can Google it. Okay, this is the download section. Okay, under download, this we have downloaded. Let us install it.
yes
So this is a very small utility basically. Once you install it, it's all done. Type ABC, please. Okay, so this is what we have installed, as I was talking about. Okay, there are 5 hot potatoes here: J close, J quiz, J cross, J mix, and J match. And this masher is the unit which you can use for creating it as a one unit, right? So we will start with let's say J cross, which you can use for creating a crossword. Okay. So you click on this. Okay, this kind of screen will appear. You have to say that is create with default, make the grid. All right. Sir, type करिए. Character type करिए. SISTER, sister. Enter the thing. Next is tour. TOUR. And then UK. Alright. So I am trying to create a crossword, okay, using this small tool. Okay. So simply click on make the grid. So this grid has been created. Alright. Now I can add clues just like we have clues, okay, when it comes to crossword. Okay, you can add clicks. Oh, sorry.
consistent
Yes. So maybe female sibling. Chaliye,
country
okay. And then UK, maybe European country. कुछ तो टाइप करिए. ठीक है. England टाइप करिए. Okay. Let's say tour trip. PRIP. All right. So click on OK. Now you can go for configuration. That is, you can configure this, the output, how it should look like. Okay, so you can even set the timer. Let us set the timer to maybe 5 minutes. Okay, here you can type the message you intend to display once the time is up. Okay, so you can type any text. Right now, by default, it is showing your time is over. Okay, click on OK. Under configuration, you can make changes with regard to the appearance of the screen. Right now, the screen looks like this. You can make certain changes to this. Okay. You can have different colors and so on. Okay, click on OK. And then go to this. That is export to create a hot potato version 7.0 web version. Right? Click on this button. Okay. It will ask you for the file name. Type any ABC or whatever you feel like.
Potato, sure.
Whatever. Right? Save. Okay. Now, if I go to this view the exercise in my browser, क्या problem? Google Chrome. Yes. So this is how your crossword exercise will appear. Okay. You may say, let's say, sister, one second. I am clicking on one. I am giving the answers. I am attempting this particular crossword. Hit enter. Okay. Second, hit on two. Tour. T-O-U-R. Type two, sir. T-O-U-R. Sir, आप टाइप करें. किया था हमने. U-R. Okay. And then the third one is UK. So type UK. Sir. Okay. Hit enter. Check the answers. Okay. Your score is 100% whatever. Right. So crossword you can create using this small utility. Okay. Which is again, as I said, this tool is a standard tool. Okay. Which you can use for assessment purposes. So this is the first one. This is, as a matter of fact, as I told you that it is a bundle of tools. Okay. सर आपके desktop पे दिख रहा है ना इसका? Yes. So let us close this. Do you want to save changes, or you can cancel it? Yes. On the parallel line, you can create a quiz. Okay, and the beauty of this tool is, as far as the number of questions are concerned, there is no limit. Okay, you can customize it. Thousands of questions you can set. You can create, as I said, the jumbled exercise and so on. So I will not demonstrate all of them, but this is a small tool which you can use, and this JMasher, as I have told you, is the tool which you can use for building up all those things as a one unit. Okay, so that can be again easily done. Okay, you need to simply, since we have not created, we have created only one file. Okay, so that's why it will not appear here. Again, we need to check in which particular folder it is there. But I will not demonstrate. You are all from computer science, right? So I don't think that you need more than 5 minutes to learn this particular tools, right? Not more than 5 minutes, I should say, right? So, but this tool is very handy, and you can use it. Rather, you can exploit this particular tool for your assessment purpose, particularly test examination and so on, right? So this is one thing. Then the another tool which is there on the parallel line is basically Socrative, right? In Google, simply type Socrative. Okay, but this is the beta version of this tool is available free. Okay, but if you want to have full functionality, you have to pay for it. Okay, this is the second tool, Socrative. Okay, again you need to log in basically. That's why I was asking for my laptop, because everything is set over there. So there are two possibilities here. One is the teacher sign up, and the second one is the student sign in. Right? Just like you share the Google Classroom code on the parallel line, you need to share your classroom code with the students so that they can directly enter into that classroom and so on. Right. So this is for assessment. Once again, teacher sign up. I don't have, sir. Now you need to create. Actually, on my laptop, all these things are created, but if we have time, then you can create it. or otherwise you can log in using your Gmail ID and so on, or any social media account. Okay, as a student. And again, you have all those functionalities. That is, you can create a quiz, you can create a multiple choice question, even short answer type questions. All those things you can do it. Okay, with this particular tool, that is Socrative extension. Okay. So ठीक है सर, है ना? So this is the second one. Will take time. देखिए होता हूँ, देखिए 2 मिनट. If you can do it, then no problem. So there are basically 2 logins, teacher and student. Okay, that you can explore at your end. And the beauty of this particular Socrative tool is again it complies to SAMR models, and apart from that, you can get reports, evaluation reports, everything in an online manner, right? So that is there in this particular.
Question that is how to share with the student.
Sorry, you need to share the class code. Just like see, after creating your teacher login, okay, you will get a class code, unique class code. For example, on my laptop it is Atik6972, right? So that code I need to share, and the student are supposed to go to student login, and they need not have to create any account. They can directly enter that class code, and they will be directly taken up to this particular examination, right? So let's say I want to conduct the test. What I will do, I will create a classroom and I will share that code. So you can, in your mobile phone itself, you can go to student login, put in that class code. You will be directly taken up to that. So Socrative, but as I said, that is the pro version of this tool is paid. $10 you need to pay. $9.99. Okay? So that is paid. But for institution, I don't think there is a problem. Okay, you can very well subscribe to these tools, right? So that is second, and okay, sir. Anyway, the third tool is let us move ahead, sir. Laptop connect हो जाएगा. देखिए अगर होता है. The another tool is net logo. So that can be used as a simulation tool. Net logo, NETLOGO, net logo, right? Net logo is another tool which you can again. These are all free tools. These are all free tools. They are built on the of free and open source software or the FOSS philosophy. And what hot potatoes, whatever I'm talking, it is a freeware. Okay, so without any glitch, you can download it and you can start using it. वो नहीं करेक्ट होगा ना सर उसको HTML है बस वही होगा इसलिए मैं टॉप किया एक्चुअली भाई वाईफाई चलेगा सर केबल लगाएंगे
एक कंपनी द्वारा क्या होगा?
I got it. Long net.
वाईफाई आपका क्या है जियो प्राइवेट नेट है वो क्या है टीपी लिंक ये वाला ओप्पो कैपिटल
This one, NPK, CMSH,
CA
CMSH, 1 minute.
स्क्रीन आ रहा है कि
वो F4 पे आ गया था, शिफ्ट F4
शिफ्ट F4 बोल रहे हैं सर, ये वाला डुप्लीकेट
डायरेक्ट गया स्क्रीन डुप्लीकेट हो
नहीं लगा ठीक है सर. So anyway, just
नहीं
sir,
sort to
net logo right? Net logo again you can use it, right?
any additional feature.
Net logo actually demonstrates certain aspects which are a bit difficult to explain in the classroom scenarios. Okay, with the help of some simulated environment, right? Some built-in libraries are there. You can exploit it. Maybe for neural network training and all those things can be pictorially represented. Okay, again it is a free and open source tools. You can simply Google it. Okay. So it is all from my end. Now the session is open for discussion, or if you have any queries, you can fire it now. Because these 10-15 minutes are more important, I should say, right? So normally we have a lot of questions when it comes to NEP 2020 and so on. So we are not doing anything new, as a matter of fact. Actually, the same thing, the packaging is being changed. That is what I will say. Okay, electives were there earlier as well. Okay, electives were there. What are electives basically? That is nothing but the up to at the bottom extent it was multidisciplinary approach. Okay, it was multidisciplinary approach only. So things were there. The only thing is that we are taking it to little bit newer heights, I should say, right? So with this note, I will end up here. Now, if you have any question with regard to the session, whatever we have discussed, okay, since last 2 hours, okay, you can fire it now. There are two possibilities. I will not explicitly say, right? So I hope we are in the first possibility, right? Anyway, I have not taught you anything. As a matter of fact, I have shared my experiences, okay, with regard to teaching, learning, and so on. Okay. So with this note, yes, sir. Please, be happy to answer.
Sir, there are multiple entry and multiple exit in NEP.
Correct. Correct.
Won't it affect the survival of the teachers?
Oh, sir, this is a very obvious question, and I was expecting it.
Because there are
see-
speculations. Because there are speculations that the workload of the teachers will be reduced. Then all this will come up.
Yes.
So there will be surplus number of teachers, and there are many faculties are like ad hoc.
Answer is pretty simple, sir. I'll share with you, and it is being adopted by most of the institutions as well. Nowadays, people from mechanical engineering, they are teaching Java, right? Why? Because see, we talk about when it comes to student, we talk about multidisciplinary approach. What is wrong in adopting a multidisciplinary approach when it comes to teaching? Okay, so nowadays actually you are equipped with so many things, that is you simply have that thirst to learn. Okay, if you have that attitude to learn, you can learn anything, I tell you, sir. So within 10-15 minutes even you can learn at least certain fundamental things, right? I have seen young generation, okay, they look at the videos with 2x speed. Okay, my processor is old. Okay, when it comes to English, even 1x many times is difficult for me to digest. So let's say a US person is talking, right? So we have limitations, but what I intend to say is that is these are the challenges. Undoubtedly, these challenges are there. And your generation, I don't know exactly your age, but
I am only 34.
so you are only 34. So definitely you have to.
So I have a long time.
It's long time, and people like you, they must take it as an opportunity, I will say. You can take it as an opportunity. Whenever, see, these are all disruptive technologies. What is happening, AI and all, do you feel that the teachers are really required?
No, sir. We will be changing ourselves into facilitators.
Correct,
Like
correct.
you told, na?
Correct. Right? So you need to change your attitude, not only your attitude, but Yes.
Yes.
But you need to equip yourself with the state of the art in your area as well. Okay, then the student will listen to you. Those days are gone. कि जो पीले कलर की नोट्स होती थी अपनी, मैंने भी यूज किया, आप भी करते हो, आप नहीं करते होंगे 34 के बाद, लेकिन येलो हो जाती थी कई बार, वही नोट्स पे हम पढ़ाते थे, वो दिन चले गए, ठीक है ना? तो आपको ये चैलेंज करके एक्सेप्ट करना है सर, और आपकी जो इनटेक कैपेसिटी है, मैंने पहले ही कहा कैटेगरिकली, एंड दैट वाज the intention was that is obviously I will have these kind of questions, right? So your intake will not be constant for all the years, it will vary drastically, it may be zero sometime. Okay, if there are no takers to your subject, it may happen, let's say I am teaching XYZ subject which is not up to the mark, nobody will register for that course. So you have to create your space, I should say, as a teacher. Okay, and it may happen that, let's say, if you are working in an area wherein you may have registration in 1,000, that is again possible, right? So you may have 1,000 students in your subject. Okay, so I hope you got it, right? Any other question? Teaching load and all. See, yes, please.
So when we talk about multidisciplinary approach,
Yes.
so till now we had multidisciplinary in terms of in the same stream like in engineering. But now you are saying like yoga is given importance in every field, and so how it is feasible to be incorporated in our
It is
curriculum?
It is very much feasible. I have worked with institutions like Government Polytechnic, wherein we have incorporated. This is 2024. We have incorporated yoga way back in 1995, sir. I'm sharing. Yes, it is very much possible. See, the only thing is, see, when it comes to examination, everything will be in terms of pen and paper, है ना? योगा का एग्जामिनेशन अलग होगा, योगा टीचर अपॉइंट करने पड़ेंगे आपको. अब ये नए अपॉर्चुनिटीज खुल रही है, ये कोई एक्सप्लोर नहीं कर रहा है ना? मैं क्या चाहता हूँ, मैं कंप्यूटर से हटना नहीं चाहता हूँ, right? What I do not want to acquire new skills, है ना? योगा के लिए ऑप्शंस है. आपका अगर आईकेएस में है ना, वर्किंग एज ए डायरेक्टर एचआरडीसी, आई एम फेसिंग dearth of people in IKS, Indian knowledge system. मेरे पास सेशन लेने के लिए लोग नहीं रहते हैं. आप में से कुछ तैयार करिए और आ जाइए कल से हम आपको बोलते हैं लेक्चर लेने के लिए. So what I intend to say, the same time when you have problems, okay, and I don't know whether yoga is there in your institution, but it is very much possible. There are non-examination credit courses. I don't know whether you are aware about this. There are non-exam credit courses. Yoga can be one of them. ठीक है ना? आप उसकी पेपर पे एग्जाम नहीं लेंगे, योगा टीचर आएगा, वो इंस्ट्रक्शंस देगा, ठीक है, बच्चे कुछ तो भी एक्सरसाइज करके बताएंगे, अकॉर्डिंगली ही विल इवैल्यूएट एंड ही विल ग्रेड दिस स्टूडेंट. सो नॉन एग्जाम क्रेडिट कोर्सेस, योगा कैन बी द बेस्ट ऑप्शन. अनफॉर्चुनेट पार्ट इज, जैसे मैंने कहा कि भाई बार-बार आपसे कह रहा हूं कि जो डेवलप्ड नेशन है, ये लोग आगे क्यों हैं? क्योंकि ये ओपन माइंडेडनेस है इन लोगों की. अपने यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम क्या है, अपने पास क्या है वो देखना ही नहीं चाहते. IKS में भी अगर आप थोड़ा सा ग्रेट डिटेल में जाएंगे तो यू विल रियलाइज कि देयर आर वेरी मेनी थिंग्स व्हिच आर इग्नोर्ड. ओके, आई एम नॉट एडवोकेटिंग NEP 2020, आई एम एडवोकेटिंग व्हाट इज करेक्ट, राइट? एंड अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट हैज बीन इग्नोर्ड बाय मोस्ट ऑफ अस, एंड वी फील दैट. अब अपने यहाँ पे अगर आप थोड़ा सा टिपिकली देखोगे, पर्टिकुलरली प्रोफेशनल स्टूडेंट्स सुसाइड्स वगैरह के मामले सुनने में आते हैं, किसी को जॉब नहीं मिलता है, टेम्परामेंट जो है. अब ये योगा अगर करता है तो आप बताइए उसका कितना कूल टेम्परामेंट रहेगा, हाउ ही विल हैंडल स्ट्रेस. यू आर इक्विपिंग दैट स्टूडेंट टू हैंडल स्ट्रेस, एंड स्ट्रेस आर बाउंड टू हैपन. यानी वो दौर गया, जैसे मैं जॉब में लग गया था 90 में, और पूरे 40 साल बाद मैं रिटायर होने वाला हूँ. अभी वैसा नहीं है. अभी जो आपके जॉब है 2 साल बाद है या नहीं आपको पता नहीं है ना? तो ये चैलेंजेस है आपके, और ये चैलेंजेस आपकी जनरेशन को फेस करना है, जो बच्चे हैं उनको फेस करना है. तो इसके लिए उनको इक्विप करना जरूरी है, ठीक है? तो योगा भी आना चाहिए मेरे ख्याल से. Even though I am not practicing yoga, but what I am saying, it is equally important. Okay, because teaches you very many things which are beyond your technical knowledge. है ना? जो आपका एटीट्यूड और बाकी जो चीजें हैं, वो चीजें आपकी इक्वली इंपॉर्टेंट है. ठीक है? आप लोगों ने अभी तक योगा लिया नहीं सर? ले लिया सब. ठीक है, आपका क्वेश्चन यही था कि सर कैसे हैंडल करेंगे इसको.
It's like not just yoga, but in other streams are also there, like art
म्यूजिक एंड
देखिए उसके लिए एक कंसेप्ट आ रहा है, दे कॉल इट एज अ क्लस्टर यूनिवर्सिटी, है ना। अब अपनी पहली क्लस्टर यूनिवर्सिटी अपने यहाँ बनने जा रही है, आप लोग दोज हु आर अवेयर, ओके, दोज हु आर in touch with the university authorities, okay, शिवाजी यूनिवर्सिटी will be turning into a cluster university, है ना। अब शिवाजी के कौन कौन से कॉलेजेस है, आर्ट्स है, कॉमर्स है, साइंस है, इंजीनियरिंग है, लॉ है, ठीक है। अब मैं वही बोल रहा था आपको, मैंने जो चैलेंजेस आपको इनिशियली आई हैव टोल्ड यू, चैलेंजेस आर कि भाई मोबिलिटी ऑफ स्टूडेंट फ्रॉम वन सिस्टम टू द अनदर, दैट इज व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट, दिस इज चैलेंजिंग, बट ओवर a period of time some mechanism will come up, okay, ABCD is there, okay, if you acquire some credit, even though not from your institution, let's say from course run by Amravati University Computer Science Department, if you undergo that course, come up with the certificate, your institution is bound to accumulate those credit in the worksheet of the students, it is bound, है ना। लेकिन इसकी mandatory guidelines नहीं है, it is in here that I will accept, okay, but the mechanisms in due course of time definitely they will be in place and you will not face any problem.
Something in ABC, Bank of Credit.
Academic Bank of Credit. Academic Bank of Credit is just like an ID, okay, which you can create through a DigiLocker, and it is mandated for all first year students, ठीक है ना। तो आपका भी जो Academic Bank of Credit है, for example, you are undergoing this course, and let's say if it is approved, then you may earn some 4 credits, 5 credits for this particular course, okay, so which can be directly reflected on your ABCD ID. Okay, it is bound to happen, but it will take some time, definitely, maybe 1 or 2 years down the line, but it will be definitely in place. Okay, so challenges hai, I am not saying, I am not denying that there are no challenges. Whenever something new is there, and challenges are already you are facing, okay, as I said, from the technology front, you are already facing a lot of challenges, particularly after COVID 2020. पिछले 4 साल में तो अब आप लोगों के लिए अपने न्यू नॉर्मल इज वी कंडक्ट ऑलमोस्ट ऑल द कोर्सेज एज एन ऑनलाइन कोर्स। आई एम ए डायरेक्टर HRDC, आई एम नॉट गेटिंग 50 पार्टिसिपेंट फॉर एन ऑफलाइन कोर्स, दिस इज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज आई एम फेसिंग। सो व्हाट वी हैव सजेस्टेड UGC कि भाई लेट अस गो इन अ हाइब्रिड मोड, मे बी फ्यू विल जॉइन इन ऑनलाइन मोड एंड फ्यू मे जॉइन इन अ ऑफलाइन मोड, समथिंग लाइक दैट। So future classroom you will not find maybe this kind of scenario, right, bricks and mortar, but you may have virtual classroom, you will be sitting at your home and delivering the session to n number of students, right? So with this note, I hope I have answered your queries. Anybody else who wish to ask? Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful session. I'll just summarize the session in few words. Our expert discussed the topic NEP 2020 for technical education, shedding light on how the national education policy aims to transform and modernize technical education in India. The session already explored the key reforms introduced by NEP 2020, including the multidisciplinary approach, emphasis on innovation, integration of technology, and promoting research and skill development. The discussion also highlighted how these initiatives are designed to foster a future-ready workforce, enhance employability, and position India as a global hub for the technical excellence. So, thank you, sir. Now, may I request Dr. M.A. Poon, sir, HOD of CSC and coordinator of Atal FTP program, to facilitate to our resource person, Dr. Atik, sir. Please,
Just last token of thanks.
token of thanks and felicitation.
Article discussion के लिए
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for this.
Thank you, sir. So now we will continue the article discussion session. So no break today for the next session. So we will directly continue with that article discussion. The article discussion session will continue with Dr. R.R. Karwa sir and SP Ingre sir, Professor SP Ingre sir.
अच्छा ठीक है.
चेंज किए
थोड़ा सा है इशू फ्रैक्चर्ड है वो.
उसका ग्राफिक्स है
अच्छा ग्राफिक्स का है क्या? ये एक्चुअली निकल गया हिंजेस.
उसका प्रॉब्लम
नहीं है.
एनवीडिया ग्राफिक्स का है ना एनवीडिया ग्राफिक्स का तो कॉन्फ़िगरेशन नहीं है
అవునా 10 मिनट देखो उसने हाथ लगा के डायग्नोस कर लिया ना पूरा. ऐसा है. चलिए सर चलेंगे. यस
Participants, if you can sit. Participant, if you can sit team wise, so that the hard copies of article distribution will be easy, or at least representative of each group. You already know the groups. You have been divided into groups of 5 or 6, depending upon your flexibility. The link for this activity is already shared in FTP group. If you can open, you will see there are group number 1 to 10. In the last folder, there will be a folder named supporting files. In that, you will get a format, how to do the article summary, and this reflection journal is also provided there. Plus the 4 papers in soft copy. Hard copy is also distributed to you. Just remember when you are making this activity, name the files format appropriately, like group number underscore article summary dot in a doc file, so that it is easy to make, easy to remember, and it will be helpful when keeping your last scoring, which is going to be done on day after tomorrow. Same for reflection journal. In the article summary, if you can open that PDF. The article names, journal source are already filled in the doc file. You have to do the summary part. Then some of the summaries are by your group, and some of the summary you have to fill as a team member. So you have to put your name there. Depending upon how many members are there, 4, 5. Some groups are of 3, some are for 4. The maximum limit is 6. But the group discuss, the activity, your teams are already distributed, so there is no problem. You have to do the summary part, the principle for each of the 4 papers. Then application principle. This you have to do individually according to the team numbers, and you have to take the key takeaways, and conclusion you have to do as a group. So you have today's day and tomorrow's day to fulfill it. You have to submit it on Saturday. Then in reflection journal, you have to do this in an individual part. There is a separate drive for reflection journal which will be shared. Again, there will be a template for you. You have to make edits according to your what are your references that you have done up till now, and the 2 remaining sessions of speakers that is going to be. Karwa sir, anything else you want to add? Okay. Till now.
मुझे सिर्फ मालूम है। एक पहले वाली फाइल हाँ और दे दूँगा
आर्टिकल
चल वही
Second group member. ठीक है।
The first paper is already
Change
finished.
नहीं
Third group member.
only 5 हाँ तो मुझे सिर्फ फाइल ओपन करनी है। फोल्डर में खोल के दिखाओ। हाँ
Fourth group member. Sixth group.
होम गूगल और वो दे दूँ
Group number 9. Group number 10. 9. क्यों क्या होगा? Group number 9 है।
10 है. 9 है.
Group number 9.
डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करें और ये
Shared. Now, as Google Drive link is already shared on WhatsApp group, you can see the first drive link is of article discussion. In that, there are group numbers. Okay, so if your group number is group 1, you have to open that particular folder, and here you have to save your file. So, what will be the file? So for that, even you can see we have given the supporting files. In that supporting files, you will get the particular first what is in Atal scheme. Then this is day 1 article, day 2 article, day 3 article, and day 4 article, and particular format of the file template. So see, article summary. This is a day 1 first article. Okay, artificial intelligence for cyber security goals. Then journal scope, already it is provided here. Then FDP theme, it is also written, that is the title of our FDP. Next, team information, that is you need to enter here. Team name, now you might have decided your team name, that you will enter here. Then team members, yes, team members, that is a list of team members. That is a group information already you are having. Then the next important point is summary. So now, from this paper, that is artificial intelligence for cyber security goals, which points you can summarize with respect to key principles you have to mention here. That is a team wise. Okay, that is a team wise. Principle of practice 1, then description, then practice 2 description, practice 3 description, practice 4 description. So now you can like 3 to 4 bullets for a team. Then next is application of principles or practices in your function. Now this is individual task. Okay, this is individual task. How many team members? That many principle or application should be there. If your team is having 5 members, then 5 principles should be there. If your team is having 6, then 6 application of principles should be there.
like this. Then continue with each team member. Then after that you have to write key takeaways from the article. So you will be writing the takeaways from that. And yes, it is team wise. This is nothing but a team wise. It is mentioned there. That previous principles. Now the next is conclusion. If you are having any doubt in article summary, you may please raise. Now this is for article 1. Once you scroll, you will get article 2. It is also provided to you. Now, secure data access management for cyber threats using artificial intelligence. Journal source already mentioned here, FDP team already mentioned here. Now, like we have mentioned in the first article, you have to mention again that team name, team members, then summary, key principle is a team wise, then application of principles or practices, this is individual. जितने भी members है उतने applications और principles लगेंगे यहाँ पे. And at the last, key takeaways from the particular article, second article. And at the next, there is a conclusion. This is for day 2, second article. Then you will be having day 3, third article. That is cyber threat intelligence and machine learning. Again, just like that, we have written day 1 and day 2 article. You have to fulfill the day 3 article summary as well. And same for this day 4. And once you complete everything, you have to save as in PDF. And your particular nomenclature for the save should for saving should be group number underscore article summary. So if your group number is group 1, then group 1 underscore article summary. This is for article summary. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes? If you are any doubt, you may ask. Now this is our first assessment. Now, like this, we are having the next assessment. This is for reflection journal. So in reflection journal, also supporting file, that is a template is provided. It is not there, but we will provide you. नहीं डाला मिशन उसमें ये आर्टिकल डिस्कस करके फाइल में नहीं उसमें वो जो पीडीएफ है ओके आर्टिकल डिस्कस we will provide a word file for that. We are having that. Currently it is not there, but what you have to submit in reflective journal, that is, this is individual task. So first, your personal information, name, designation, institute, FDP title and date of reflection. So date of reflection is our last date, like 30th November. That will be there. Then key learnings, outcomes. Now we are having 10 sessions. Out of 10 sessions, you have to write at least 3 learnings. Okay, learning 1, learning 2 and learning 3 in terms of outcomes. Then these are their key lessons for implementation. Again, lesson wise you have to write that. Then the implementation plan. This is again for 3 learnings. Then description for every lesson. Then action step, action taken for that. Then timeline. Each lesson wise you have to write. And at the last, overall reflection. Okay, means that will be conclusion for reflection journal. So every instruction is there that you have to follow. This is individual task. Okay, this is not a team task. So this is for reflection journal. We will provide the word file in supporting file folder. And in reflection journal folder, you have to upload, and nomenclature should be the name of participant underscore reflection journal. Okay. Yes. Already you are having a serial number of your participation. So again, one more folder that will be shared with you. It is not yet shared. That is industrial tour. Okay. Tomorrow we are having industry visit. So you have to submit the report on industry visit. So there is no particular format Atal have provided us. So it is free structure that you can form. So that is a team wise. Again, this industry visit is team wise. One more, like they also have asked for practical sessions. Like we are having 4:30 to 5:30 practical session, hands-on. So again, the outputs for that hands-on session we have to provide. That is a team wise. Okay, that is a team wise. So we will provide you some instruction for that, like that you can form. That is a practical outputs. And on the last day there will be MCQ with that. So this is all about this assessment. If you are having any doubt, please ask.
What exactly is expected in timeline?
Timeline. Just a minute, ma'am. In timeline, you are writing implementation step. Like just now, we are in FDP. FDP will be closed at 30th November. So what is expected next you are doing with respect to the implementation? Like cyber security protocols are types of cyber attack, or like applying any machine learning algorithm. So you can provide a timeline week wise, day wise, month wise. So that timeline is required. Suppose implementing a support vector machine for email spam detection, that is a case study. So your timeline will be 1 week for dataset gather, means gathering the dataset, then data pre-processing, then applying the algorithm. So step by step you have to mention the timeline. That is maybe the day wise, maybe the month wise, maybe the week wise. So it is depend on every individual. So that is nothing but a timeline for implementing the lesson. So again, it depends on the individual. Now you may discuss the article within your team.
आर्टिकल डिस्कस करायचं आपल्याला
सचिन हे बंद केलं ना सचिन कुठे आहे का बंद केलं
आर्टिकल